From Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, Virginia, this is TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and alongside me, as it usually is, THI publisher Andrew Jones. And Andrew, about an hour ago, saw Carolina losing this building in double overtime to the Hokies, 79-77. Carolina had a lot of opportunities to win this game. It seemed like really for the first 30 minutes of this game, it looked like Carolina was going to win. 12-point lead for the Tar Heels with 12:59 left in the second half. Game ends up getting forced to overtime. So Carolina gave up another big lead. Looked like they were in control. Looks like they were really doing some nice things. They were hitting shots, dominating down low with Garrison Brooks in particular. But in that 12:59 stretch, that 13-minute stretch, I guess I should say, Carolina reverted to a little bit of the old ways we've seen a lot this season.
They led 49-37, and the Hokies tied it going into overtime at 60, so that's a 23-11 run by Virginia Tech over the last 12:59 of the game. And it's like we're repeating ourselves here. We've done this a lot in these post-game videos.
It does feel like that.
Ohio State, 35-12. Charlottesville against Virginia, 16-3, and against them, that's like 25-6 against most people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wofford, 16-0. I know you're not watching a video that you've seen 5 or 6 times so far. Against Pittsburgh in the second half, same situation. Pittsburgh at home in the second half, same situation. And then the last 2 minutes of regulation against Clemson, they did it again tonight. Tonight was not as ugly as those stretches because the Heels, I think, competed better, competed harder. They played a little bit. Virginia Tech had to work. 23-11 over 13 minutes isn't a thumping. It's not. Yeah. It didn't carry the kind of stench, if you will, that those other runs did. Okay, this one was a little bit more. Okay, Hokies are really going to have to work for this. Got to hit some shots, and they did. They weren't hitting a lot of threes throughout the game. A lot of them were contested. They were getting them a little bit more uncomfortably than they typically do because the Tar Heels did some solid things defensively. But then they started getting some open stuff, and they were knocking them down. And then they got some drives to the basket, and things started to change a little bit in that respect. But I think it really, for the Tar Heels, it was on the offensive end. And if you look at our 5 takeaways, TarHeelIllustrated.com, the first one that I noticed, the 2:51 mark of regulation. Roy called a timeout. Carolina had the ball. They're up 59-58. Okay? They had the ball for a minute 17 of the next minute 40 of the game. And they missed 5 shots in that stretch. Garrison only took 1 of the 5. Okay? Leakey took 2. Playtech missed a 3. He said after the game, something we'll hit on in a few minutes, that his legs were kind of cramping. And Armando Baycott also missed a shot. There's a jump shot from 15 feet, which is not his forte.
No, it's not his game, no.
They didn't execute well in that stretch. They were kind of out of sync, unlike offensively in the first half and for a couple stretches in the second half. So that's kind of where they lost the game. If they just get one good look in that sequence and actually knock it down, they win the game in regulation. So it wasn't like the other runs, but you know what? You start piling them up, man. And it was still 23-11 over the last 13 minutes. So in the end, it doesn't really matter what the ingredients are. No. That's the end result. It goes into overtime, and overtimes don't go very well here in this town for the University of North Carolina, at least this scholastic year.
Exactly. Lon and AJ, you kind of hit it on earlier with Andrew Playtech missing that shot, something he touched on, but a lot of guys talking about in the post-game interviews in the locker room that fatigue played a major factor. Carolina was playing, a 7-man rotation pretty much. You had Keeling and Francis coming off the bench, and that's it. Keeling played 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
So
8:22 to be exact.
Yeah, it's good stuff right there. But Carolina just doesn't have depth right now when you think.
Stat sheet kind of helps.
Yeah, of course. B-Rob not playing. Cole Anthony's still out. Anthony Harris obviously out for the season. So Carolina doesn't have a lot of depth right now. And then you go to double overtime. You got guys playing over 40 minutes. First time that's happened in a long time, if ever. So AJ, fatigue definitely played a major factor tonight. And you can't knock the guys out there that were playing because they gave it all they had. They just weren't able to finish it out in the end.
Yeah, no excuses here. This is the reality. Fatigue did play a factor in this game for the Tar Heels. Virginia Tech played 3 guys more than 40 minutes.
Yeah, true.
And they didn't go 25 deep, and they weren't just rolling in dudes like hockey lines. But the Tar Heels really loaded up on the minutes with the top 4 guys. They had 4 players play 45 or more minutes.
I don't see that very often.
Now, I talked to Steve Kirscher from UNC. He was trying to figure out if that's ever happened before. My guess is, if it's happened, it was 1957 and this national semifinal win over Michigan State, and then the national championship win over Kansas, in which UNC, both games went to triple overtime, and they had sort of an iron 5. They had 3 guys that played off the bench. They didn't play a lot. So those were 55-minute games. Went a little bit further. My guess is maybe 4 guys did then, but that's also 1957. That's a long time ago, long before even I was born, so as old as I am. So it's been a long time since they've done that. And you got to take into consideration the fact that, and Roy alluded to this in the post-game press conference, if you go back to August and you said, okay, Roy, name your top 7 in your rotation, he said tonight that 4 of the guys he would have mentioned did not play.
Yeah, did not play.
3 of them weren't even here
Yeah.
because Sterling Manley's not traveling with the team because he's recovering from the knee surgery, and they did think Sterling was going to be a part of things. B-Rob didn't make the trip because of his neck. I asked Roy about that after the game, and he found out yesterday that B-Rob is going to be able to play, and it is something that stems from the car accident. Yeah. Interesting that he played at Pitt a week after the accident. Maybe something was kind of wrong, but it was jarred in that game, and it was exacerbated. I don't know. They also didn't have Anthony Harris down. He was going to be in the rotation. And, of course, that guy, Cole Anthony, who's getting closer and closer and closer to playing. But, you know, there's the anticipation for his return is a fascinating thing. But, you know, they got other guys that are out, too. And that's why they were in this Iron Man situation today. And I don't mean to invoke Cal Ripken of the Baltimore Orioles. For my Oriole fans out there, they know why I would invoke that in this video. I didn't say any more either.
You had to get it in.
No, but in all seriousness, they were tired. Playtech said it affected his shot. He was fatigued. Garrison did. In fact, right before the next to last basket that Virginia Tech had, right over here on the baseline, Garrison pulled his shirt out. He was so exhausted. Pulled his shirt out, ran over and picked up Landers Nolly, who went right by him, went right up to the rim and scored. Garrison did his best, but he was exhausted. He played 48 minutes and 21 seconds tonight.
That's a lot.
He sat a minute 39. Of a double overtime game, and he was being pounded throughout the game. So many of his baskets inside. He's fighting through contact. He had a driving basket in the second half, trying to do it all again. A little more effective than he was against Georgia Tech when he was trying to do it all. In fact, with the drive, that is. Fatigue, man. I mean, you can't. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it can make a guy that jumps high not jump so high. It can make a guy that runs fast not run so fast. And it can make a defensive player who's alert and switching well, and I thought they switched well tonight, not as alert and not switch as well. And that's, in the end, I think, what cost them the game as well.
I mean, you did kind of, I guess our last point to kind of hit on is Roy kind of mentioned at the end of the game. Somebody asked him during his press conference kind of about some positives to take away from this game. And then against Pitt was pretty bad. They have had some bad games this year alone, especially over the past month or so. But I think we saw some glimpses of what this team maybe can do in the future once maybe they get a few of those guys back. Because like you said, you got a 7-man rotation coming out here. Virginia Tech's a good team. This is not a pushover team. Hostile environments. Got super loud in here. Carolina takes Virginia Tech down to the wire and has many opportunities to win the game. So, you know, in hindsight, there is a lot of positives to take away from this game.
Well, there are positives. And we stood here in front of this camera multiple times this year when there were no positives. So you have to isolate them and highlight them when you see them. I asked Roy the first question in the press conference, and I said, given them what you guys have been through, did you sense that there were some positives tonight?
Yeah, absolutely.
There was some growth, and he said yes. And so I carried that into the locker room. A few of us were asking in the locker room, and kind of the theme in there was that they competed. Yeah. They competed for 50 minutes tonight. They competed in the second half of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh in the first half was ugly. Yeah, it was. It was inexcusable, and it was ugly. The second half they competed, and they carried that over to tonight, and they competed for 50 minutes. And the mood of the locker room wasn't as bad as you might expect for a team that just lost again, and they had the win in their hands, and they let it go, and they lost in double overtime. They actually felt pretty good about the fact that they competed, given the circumstances. Again, no bench, and Iron Green. We got Andrew Platek played 48 minutes tonight. I remember a couple of weeks ago after he played like 27 a game, he mentioned in post-game interview he was tired. Yeah, and he put another 21 on there tonight. On the road, yeah. So you got to look at positives when there are positives, and this is one. They did some good things tonight. The offensive execution in the first half was really good on the perimeter, which created the entry lanes to Garrison in the first half. Garrison and Baycott, they combined for 10 assists in this game. Yeah. Defensively, there was a stretch where the Hokies had as many assists as they did turnovers, well into the second half, and they're number 2 in the nation coming into this game, assist-to-turnover ratio. So, you know, you got to look at the baby steps, and you got to embrace them. And absolutely. I think that they had some baby steps in some elements tonight, and a few more in others. It was a solid performance. They just didn't do enough to win. That's kind of who they are right now. That's exactly. They're 8-10. They got a chance to beat a team that maybe they're better than this weekend, and Miami coming in. Maybe Cole comes back for that one, or for NC State, and something can be different. I think the attitude and the approach
a lot better.
is something that they can build on. Because honestly, if that's there, the other stuff has a better chance of being there.
Absolutely.
If it's not, like we saw in the first half against Georgia Tech, and like we saw in the first half against Pitt last week, the other stuff's never going to be there if the mindset's not.
No, absolutely not. Another loss for Carolina, 79-77 here in Blacksburg, Virginia. THIillustrated.com, THI staff writer Jacob Turner. He's been THI publisher Andrew Jones, and we will see you guys in the next one. Like he mentioned, Carolina taking on Miami this Saturday, and then a trip to State on Monday. So the game's coming thick and fast. It's that time of year, fun time of year. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.